We are witnessing the execution of a legacy monopoly trap. Spirit Airlines filing for bankruptcy isn't a story about a budget airline failing. It's a masterclass in how legacy carriers box out competition.
Line up the top 7 U.S. carriers by size, and this is how it looks today.
The word they've used is turbocharges, and that's probably right that, if they're able to get this deal done, it really puts them in a different class really quickly.
But the so-called Big Four, American, United, Delta, and Southwest, would maintain their places.
What do you mean by that?
Well, Becky, we're waiting to see if today or in the next couple of days we will finally hear from the Department of Justice. By the way, they were supposed to make a decision by the middle of last week about whether or not to approve with conditions, or outright say they're going to block the proposed merger between JetBlue and Spirit. So we could hear in the next day or two. Remember, if this deal were to go through, JetBlue and Spirit would have just under 10% market share, and it would create the 5th largest airline in the United States.
When the DOJ blocked the JetBlue merger, they didn't save the consumer. They handed the entire market share back to the Big Four. Spirit was starved of operational capital while grounded by engine failures, bleeding cash while Delta and United absorbed the high-margin routes. This is how the illusion of choice operates in the American economy. Today, we are breaking down the Spirit Airlines collapse.
Publicly supported your administration, the Biden administration's decision to block the merger with Spirit and JetBlue. Since Spirit is gone, 17,000 people have lost their jobs. In retrospect, was blocking that merger a mistake?
No. Spirit Airlines shut down because the Iran war sent jet fuel prices through the roof. This is not about an antitrust decision from 2 or 3 years ago. But I'll also say, if Spirit and JetBlue had merged, it's very possible that would have taken down 2 airlines instead of 1.
Let's rewind the tape. The media wants you to believe Spirit went bankrupt because people finally got tired of paying for carry-on bags. That is a distraction. The actual execution started when the Department of Justice stepped in to block JetBlue from buying Spirit for $3.8 billion. The government claimed they were protecting the working-class consumer from a monopoly. But look at the math. By blocking that merger, they guaranteed Spirit would run out of cash.
Pratt & Whitney, a known supplier of power plants for passenger jets, is dealing with a big problem involving their GTF engines.
Stop it. Get some help.
Once the merger was blocked, the legacy carriers just had to wait for Spirit to bleed out. And the bleeding happened fast. Spirit was hit with a massive recall on their Pratt & Whitney geared turbofan engines. They were forced to ground dozens of their Airbus planes. While Spirit was grounded, bleeding millions a day, the Big Four legacy carriers simply absorbed their routes and hiked the prices.
The metal contamination has been discovered in several of these engines, which power hundreds of Airbus A320neo jets operated by various airlines. As a result, Pratt & Whitney has initiated a massive recall and inspection process that will affect more than 1,000 GTF engines, raising concerns about the engine's reliability and potential financial impact on the parent company RTX.
If you don't understand this new framework, your liquidity is at risk. We just dropped the anti-scam crypto filter. Tap the link in our description for $19.97 to learn the architecture and protect your digital assets.
The recall will be implemented in stages, with 200 engines inspected in the next weeks and another 1,000 engines scrutinized over the next year. This extensive approach comes at a high cost, with the engine issue wiping about $17 billion from RTX's market worth. The inspection process is estimated to cost RTX $500 million in free cash flow this year, indicating the severity of the problem. However, Pratt & Whitney and RTX are working to reassure airlines and passengers that this engine problem does not pose any flight safety concerns.
No. Wait.
American carries the most passengers on Earth. United has the deepest international network. Delta makes the most money. Not slightly more, dominantly more. $4.6 billion in pre-tax income in 2023.
Not bad, not bad. Now you...
While American posted $1.7 billion and United cleared around $3 billion. Delta nearly matched both of them combined. Fewer passengers, smaller Pacific network, more cash. Today, we're going to explain why. To understand Delta's advantage, you first have to understand what is fundamentally broken about the airline business. Airlines sell seats, and a seat is one of the worst products you can sell. A basic economy ticket from New York to Los Angeles might generate $200 in revenue. After fuel, crew wages, aircraft maintenance, airport fees, and overhead, the actual profit margin on that seat is somewhere between 3 and 6%.
It's pathetic.
The airlines that survive long-term, and the ones that genuinely print cash, figured out how to layer a second business model on top of the seat. A business with higher margins, stickier customers, revenue that doesn't collapse the moment fuel prices spike or a pandemic grounds every plane on Earth. Delta built 3 of those businesses, and together, they created a financial profile so different from its competitors that comparing Delta's income statement to American Airlines is like comparing a software company to a hardware store. Same industry on paper, completely different economics underneath. This is the story of those 3 machines. In 2023, Delta earned approximately $6.8 billion from its co-branded credit card deal with American Express. To put that in perspective, that figure alone is larger than the total revenue of most mid-sized European carriers. It is more than Delta earns from all of its cargo operations, all of its third-party maintenance services, and all of its ancillary revenues combined. And it arrives every single year, rain or shine, whether planes are full or grounded. Here is the mechanism. Delta and American Express operate a co-branded card, the Delta SkyMiles card. Every time a cardholder swipes that card anywhere, a supermarket, a streaming subscription, a hotel in Amsterdam, American Express pays Delta a fee, not for the flight, for the transaction. Delta is collecting a toll on everyday consumer spending.
No way! You gotta be kidding! That's not right!
Express purchases SkyMiles from Delta in bulk at a price Delta controls and distributes them to cardholders as rewards. Delta issues those miles at near zero cost. The cash from Amex is fully real. That spread between the cost of issuing a mile and the cash received for it is one of the highest margin businesses in American corporate finance. This is not a theory. During the COVID pandemic, when Delta needed emergency financing, they used SkyMiles as collateral for a $9 billion loan.
This isn't just an aviation story. This is the exact blueprint of the modern corporate economy. Whether you are flying on a plane, selling on Amazon, or building an audience on legacy social media, if you are operating inside their walled garden, they can turn off your revenue overnight. You cannot rely on a centralized monopoly to dictate your wealth or your business.
If you don't understand this new framework, your liquidity is at risk. We just dropped the anti-scam crypto filter. Tap the link in our description for $19.97 to learn the architecture and protect your digital assets.